When planning out inexpert film advice episodes, I often try and think of ways I can get my point across better. Sometimes it's by using visual aids, sometimes it's by referencing films. Well, on today's episode of Inexpert Film Advice, I'm going to do both. In order to explain shot composition, cutting, and visual language, and how you use those things to tell your story, I've decided to do a shot-by-shot breakdown of a scene from Martin Scorsese's Cape Fear to show you and not just tell you what I'm talking about. Spoilers ahead. I highly recommend you watching this film before watching the breakdown. Now let's dive into it. Now here's the setup. After a 14-year prison sentence, Robert De Niro's Max Cady has been obsessively stalking Nick Nolte's Sam Bowden, who was the lawyer that defended him 14 years back. Rightly feeling that Sam didn't defend him to the best of his abilities, Max decides to take justice into his own hands by seeking revenge against Sam and his family. Sam, along with his wife Lee, played by Jessica Lange, and his daughter Danielle, played by Juliette Lewis, have been stalked and harassed by Max Cady up until this point in the film. So what we're about to see is the midpoint of the film where Max Cady has decided to target Sam's daughter Danielle, who throughout the film has been feeling kind of neglected and ignored by her parents, and is really just seeking attention and affection. Posing as her teacher, Max Cady gives Danielle a seductive and alluring phone call that provides her with the attention that she's been seeking from her parents, albeit a different type of attention. Extremely convincing as her teacher, he lures her into the theater, and then we get this scene. Let's break it down. So one of the first things I want to point out is the brilliant Hansel and Gretel-esque set design. Wow. The gingerbread home that lures the children in, not knowing that there's evil behind. Nadine? I thought that was really cool. One thing you'll notice in the first part of this scene is that Danielle's always shot from a low angle. We'll get into why a bit later, but right now I want you to notice how Max Cady is presented through lighting, framing, and camera movement. Let me pause it right here and take it back to the beginning. So I pointed out the set design before, but look how the gingerbread house is framed and lit. The house is presented dead center frame with darkness all around it, which emphasizes the bright white light peering through the windows and doors. The light in contrast with the darkness draws the viewer's eye right to the house, almost making it impossible to look anywhere else. Also notice the subtle lens flare on the lights that adds kind of a hypnotic feel to it. The lighting draws the viewer in, visually luring you into the trap that's been set. Also notice how the lighting spills onto Danielle, showing that she's trapped in it even more than the viewer. The next thing we see is this sinister shadow emerging from the light.
Nadine?
The opening of this scene is a perfect example of how to build dread for your audience, with the slowly creeping camera movements towards the danger, and even the hesitation in her walking down the steps. It's because of the information that we have from earlier in the film and how crazy Max Cady is and the psychotic things that he's willing to do, that we know that Danielle is in danger. Holding the audience back with slow camera movements and Danielle slowly coming down the steps builds our anxiety even higher because we want her to turn around and run the other way. Going back for a moment, there are two things I want you to notice. The first thing is this shot of Danielle looking back as she comes down the steps. This is the director acknowledging the audience's anxieties and almost saying that there's nothing you can do about it. She looks back just for a brief moment and the audience is almost willing her to turn around, but she doesn't, which builds the dread even further. The second thing I want you to notice is how Max Cady's face is obscured for the most part, hiding his true intentions from Danielle. Everywhere except in this shot. I believe this is to show how alluring Max Cady is for Danielle right now. He's smoking weed, which we know Danielle likes to do, and she's gotten in trouble for it earlier in the film. And again, with the light, as he lights the lighter, it illuminates his face from the darkness and draws her in more like a moth to a flame. Now look at this. He cuts back to the master to show Max Cady in the light now. Now he actually is the light that's drawing her in. Now we continue with parts of Max Cady being obscured and him being shrouded in shadows, which we spoke about before. But what I want you to notice is the framing on Danielle. Notice how the candy canes keep her separate from Max Cady. Even she knows something is slightly off. But also notice she's still shot in a low angle, and he's shot from above. That's very important. Keep it in mind.
Cecile James?
No, I'm Danielle Bowden.
Danielle? Oh, we spoke last night.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. How rude. It's okay. I think we're alone now.
And then bam, right here, she crosses over the candy canes to get the weed from Max Cady. He's offering something that he knows she likes, bringing her into his world. This is a subtle way to show a power play. Now she's framed on the inside of the candy canes, inside of his trap. This power move could have been shown by having him stand or having the camera angle on him switch to a low angle to show him in power, but that would have been a little bit too heavy-handed. This is way more subtle. Also, you don't yet want to cut to a low angle of him because right now the scene is about her, hence her being shot in a single and him being shot in an over-the-shoulder. This shows that he has her right where he wants her, but it also shows that the focus of the scene is still on her. And here's why.
You know when we spoke on the phone last night? You really made sense to me, and I thought a lot.
Those are human truths, darling. That's what it's all about, and that's what we deal with here. See the book you have, Thomas Wolfe? It's all about self-discovery, the inner voyage.
The low angles on Danielle are showing how she feels important and listened to when she's with Max Cady. Unlike her parents who ignore her and treat her like a child, he's having an intelligent conversation with her, making her feel empowered, hence the low angle.
Almost like a cop-out, if you ask me. Well,
And him being shot from a high angle is him submitting to her and allowing her to feel special.
What you would call a roman You know what that is?
That is, until he has her.
Well, nonetheless,
These two shots are when the scene shifts.
Although writers do find new...
He stands up and now he's shot at a low angle, and his body completely obscures hers, taking the attention from the scene from her to him. But then we get this shot, which is her shown at the lowest angle that we've seen her in so far. This is because he's making her feel more empowered by talking about things that adults wouldn't normally talk about with her.
I did read Tropic of Cancer. Just parts of it, though, because I had to sneak it off my parents' shelf, you know. But his descriptions are pretty vivid, I'd say.
In one of the novels, I don't recall which, he describes an erection as a piece of lead with wings on it.
And then, as the conversation steers more sexually, we switch from over-the-shoulder shots to singles, shifting as the conversation shifts, visually showing us an important beat change. Now I'm going to let this play out for a little bit, but I want you to notice the slow cutting rhythm. There's a gap in understanding, and this is when it closes. It's cut slowly and precisely, and you can almost see the wheels in Danielle's head turning to figure out what's going on.
Wait a second. Where are you from?
Where am I from?
Yeah,
Where do you think I'm from?
I don't know, but
If I told you, you're going to get mad at me?
no.
I'm from the Black Forest.
That's funny. You're not the drama teacher, are you?
Maybe I'm the big bad wolf.
So you're that guy that's been hanging around the house? You're the one that killed my mom's dog?
Your mom's dog was killed?
Yeah.
I didn't even know anything about that. That's a shame. That's a damn shame.
So that this video isn't too long, I'm going to skip ahead a bit. But I really want you to go back and look at this chunk of the scene that I'm skipping over because it's brilliant editing and really shows you how to cut together a dialogue scene. When you're looking at it, I want you to notice when the cuts are being made, the reaction shots that are being cut to, how long the camera's holding on a person, as well as the rhythm of the edits. But to summarize what's happening, Max Cady is convincing Danielle that he's not a bad guy, and that there's no judgment and that this is a safe space where she can be herself. Skipping ahead, this is where the scene really shifts.
You know, I think I might have found a companion. Companion for that long walk to the light. Do you mind if I put my arm around you? It's okay.
No, I don't mind.
Okay.
Did you catch that? Let's see that again. We go back to an over-the-shoulder shot, where Max Cady walks into the frame and he's shot at a low angle, completely towering over Danielle. This is also the first time since here where he's shown center frame. So Martin Scorsese is using a low angle and center framing and an over-the-shoulder shot to show Max Cady's power over Danielle. And then for the first time in the scene, once Max Cady finally has her, we see Danielle from a high angle, putting her in a weaker position. Even with this kiss, we're showing Danielle at the low angle and Max Cady at the high angle. And then we get Max Cady walking away at the lowest angle we've seen anybody in yet, putting him in the ultimate position of power. And finally, we cut back to the low angle of Danielle, who snaps back to reality, realizing this might not have been the best idea, yet still feeling empowered by it. Although this isn't considered to be one of Martin Scorsese's greatest films, I still think it's worth the watch. It's a solid film with some truly great moments and great performances that I think you'll enjoy. Anybody who likes Martin Scorsese films will love this. He's in my top 5 filmmakers of all time, so I think any film he's done is worth the watch. Filmmaking truly is a director's medium. I did this to show you that every decision you make as a filmmaker needs to be to advance the story. Every edit, every sound, every camera angle, every camera movement, every shot, every lighting decision, it all needs to be to move the story forward. We have these tools and we need to learn to use them to tell our stories. Visual literacy is the most important part of filmmaking. But that's all I have for you today on Inexpert Film Advice. Let me know what you think though. Did you enjoy this type of episode? Would you like to see me do more things like this? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, you can follow me here on social media. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and peace.